Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Finally, I'm getting to Black Adam. Yes, and for your information, because I thought about this, I'm gonna keep calling these Exploring the DCEU until we get finished with whatever the rest of these ones are. So there would be this one, Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, um, The Flash, and Aquaman 2, whatever that one's called, The Lost Kingdom or something. I don't know. But yeah, and then after that, I'll change it to DCU. Unless they do try to do other stuff, and I don't know if they're gonna incorporate Shazam, Aquaman, or The Flash into this new DCU. But for me, it's probably just gonna end at Aquaman 2. Makes sense, right? So Black Adam, I've watched it twice now. I watched this with my son when it first came to HBO Max, and then I watched it today. And honestly, I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. That was pretty good. Not too bad, actually. There are some moments. I'm rewatching it today. There are some moments in here that work. There's some don't. I like the inclusion of the Justice Society. That's one thing, because you gotta have someone to go against Black Adam. He's sort of an anti-hero. He's not the full bad guy. You know, the Rock has been signed on to do this for like 8 years now, maybe 9 years at this point, but 8 years when this came out. So finally it came out, and I'm saying, why isn't he going against Shazam? Why isn't he in Shazam 2 instead of his own movie? Well, he got his own movie. To me, I think it works. Like I said, the Justice Society works because you need someone to be fighting against them. But their whole thing about you can't kill because heroes don't kill. Okay, so we know. So there's Adriana Tomaz. She is a character in this who has a son named Aman. All right. Now, this Tomaz character in the comics is called something that they can't call her anymore because it's the same as a terrorist group that starts with an I. It's also the reason why Zari Tomaz or Tarazi on Legends couldn't be called that either. And so she doesn't get any powers here. I'm assuming they were setting up for a sequel to do that, but I don't think they might continue. I don't know. But yeah, there's no heroes. Heroes don't kill, apparently, which is bullshit because the sun, we know for a fact that the entire Justice League exists on this same place. So, in this world, right? It's all the same world. Because the kid, Aman, he has posters of all the superheroes on his wall. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all that stuff. And just those 4 heroes, just think about those 4 heroes, right? Superman's killed before. Sure, he was a bad guy, but he's still killed. And he inadvertently caused a bunch of deaths. Batman is killed. Yes. Wonder Woman had intention to kill someone. She killed the guy she stabbed. David Thewlis's character, who ended up being, she figured out she killed that one guy she thought was going to be Ares, but it wasn't. She still killed. And Aquaman let someone die, so it's close enough, right? Heroes don't kill my ass. But the Justice Society has a creed, and the characters they used might not be the most popular, but that's because at the same time this movie was coming out, Stargirl was still on TV, and they couldn't use a lot of the characters that were on there. So you had Atom Smasher, who was hinted at the end of Stargirl. You had Cyclone, who I'd never heard of before this. Still don't know much about her. Dr. Fate, who I was waiting to show up in some way, shape, or form on the show, but he's here. And I almost said Blackhawk. Hawkman, who's played by Aldous Hodge, and I had a problem with this casting because all the versions of Hawkman I know and that I've seen growing up were white. Super Fancy was white. Justice League, white. Smallville, white. Alright? So when they cast him, I said they're just doing this for a quota. That's what it is now. They're just casting, ethnic actors of different colors and races just to fill a quota for their movie. We have to have different kind of races. And in a movie that takes place in another country, and the only white person is an old British dude, come on. He would have been fine just being white. But that being said, Aldous Hodge is good in the role. Although, my biggest problem with this is not because he's white, by the way. It's because Aldous Hodge is and has always been my pick to play Jon Stewart. A gruff, older gentleman who's been through shit. He would have worked perfectly, but now he's been cast as this, and so that kind of threw that out the window, and I kind of wish they didn't do it, because I think he would have been perfect for the Jon Stewart role, to be honest. And now he's this, and he's good in this too, don't get me wrong. The villain in this, Sabak, is a hit and miss for me. It's a hit and miss. It's a double hit and miss. It's a hit and miss. Because when he's played by Marwan Kenzari. You don't know that name. He played Jafar, Time to Attack Shirabat, in the Aladdin remake, and he was bland there. But I think he does a better job here when he's Ishmael. When he becomes Sabak, he is just this CGI bullshit that all these movies have, and it just goes. But I think he's good as Ishmael. So good, in fact, that I picked him out right at the beginning of the damn movie as being the villain. He looks familiar. And I'm like, I looked it up. I'm like, that's Jafar from the Aladdin remake. So I was like, oh. I'm like, yeah, he's the bad guy. He's like, how do you know? I'm like, I just have this feeling. I just have this feeling. And then there is the scene where they're looking for this crown, the crown of Sabak, right? Because they tell this backstory that Sabak was this evil king who wanted this crown to make him powerful. It's basically an evil Shazam, basically what it is. And so Black Adam was chosen to fight him, and he, Black Adam killed, or Teth Adam as he's called it. He's not actually Black Adam until the very end of the movie, and they don't even say it in the movie. They just call him Teth Adam or Adam. But anyway, and so they find this crown, and the look on his face is just like, okay. And then during this, when the bad guys, so first of all, these bad guys show up, and then when she turns around, she sees Ishmael. She's like, oh, you scared me. He's like, I had to go out, and I'm claustrophobic. I had to go kiss my breath. I'm like, yeah, that's really when I was like, he's the bad guy. That's what I'm like, I said, well, I've seen him before, so I looked him up, and that's when I found out he was Jafar. I'm like, yeah, he's a bad guy. And so, my nose really itches. So yeah, and then during this, when the things are shooting, the bad guys start yelling. One of the bad guys yells, "Who the hell is that?" And he responds with, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." I'm like, at this point, he's not even acting like he's pretending to be a good guy anymore. And it's like, but he's what? Yeah. Adam's backstory, he was out for revenge, basically. We find out that he wasn't the chosen champion of Kandak. It was his son. Tarut, I think was him. Tarut, I think it's Tarut. But, Sabak's men, or whatever it was, attacked and tried to kill, knew they couldn't kill him, so they went to kill his family, and they killed his mother, and they killed Teth Adam, but he gave Teth Adam his powers, and then he died. And then Teth Adam responded by turning into the Black Adam and killing everyone, which was a no-no with the magicians, and it was Teth Adam who killed all the magicians except for Shazam. Which, yeah, is why there's only one left. And, yeah. There's some decent action scenes in this movie. I think they work pretty well. there's some CGI stuff, and okay, so there is a part of this movie where like Amanda Waller shows up, which you're always so delightful to see her, when she shows up, because it's just so nice. But she is the one who sends the Justice Society to take out Black Adam. Now, you're wondering, well, why didn't she send the Justice League or the Suicide Squad, Task Force X, whatever? Task Force X, Suicide Squad, they're a group of criminals. They wouldn't care about killing. And I'm assuming that the Justice League are persona non grata with Waller at this point. They want nothing to do with her. So the only choice, well, at least until we get to the post-credit scene, that doesn't make any sense, but I would assume at least Batman would say he doesn't want anything to do with Waller. So she sends the Justice Society, which is 2 veterans and 2 newcomers. And like I said, I like their inclusion. I think they're okay. They're acted pretty well. You got James Bond himself, Pierce Brosnan playing Dr. Fate. Like I said, Noah Centineo, but honestly, I think he's one of those teen drama movie stars. He's okay, and I don't know the other actress, but she's good. We get a cameo from Henry Winkler, the Fonz, who plays his uncle. If you want someone to play his uncle, don't. A 70-year-old man, that would be grandfather, not uncle. What? I don't know. Uncle doesn't make much sense, but that, it's in the comics, it's uncle, but they could have found someone younger than Henry Winkler. Like someone who's in their 50s would make more sense than 70s, like Henry Winkler is. But still nice to see him. Yeah, and the effect of him growing and stuff is pretty good. And her, it's CGI shit, but it looks good. Her Cyclone stuff looks pretty, actually. Maybe like, not a full negative, but one of the things that kind of gets me is the kid character. The more I thought about it, the more I'm like, did we really need this kid character? Because the kid character is he's at one point in the movie he's a MacGuffin for an action scene because he gets kidnapped. So Adam goes from flying motorcycle to flying motorcycle to try to find him, and then that leads them to part of the climax because Ishmael has him captured because they want the crown, and he's hid the crown at the apartment. It keeps getting destroyed. They're gonna have to find a place to live. But yeah, if the kid wasn't around, there'd be no big action scene to chase action scene. Yeah, even though we just had a bunch of action scenes with him fighting against the Justice Society, which in hindsight is not really necessary, but it works, I guess. But yeah, I think the Rock usually just plays himself, maybe a more toned down ego version of, like, his ego toned down version of the Rock, but just the Rock, but it works, I guess. No, I didn't hate this movie at all. I thought it was good. There is a post-credit scene that would have been cool when you first saw it in theaters, but in hindsight, it's just an eye roller. So, after defeating Sabak in the CGI bullshit finish, and destroying his throne, saying you don't need a ruler, it needs a hero, and it's like, well, what are you going to be called? And it just pops up on the screen, Black Adam. You get a mid-credit scene, basically, is what it is, where Amanda Waller comes back, cause yay, and talks to him and she says, if you don't want to be in my prison, that's fine, because they do take him there at some point. But you stay in conduct. Take 1 foot out, and we're gonna have a problem. He goes, basically says, what are you gonna do about it? I didn't know anything can stop me. I know people. Bring them all. There's at least 2 out there that could stand up to him, and one of them shows up, and it's not Shazam. It's Superman. Henry Cavill's Superman. So like I said, if you saw us in the theater, you'd be like, holy shit. But watching this on HBO Max after the fact, you're like, yeah, that would have been cooler had been already known. Because that was the whole thing, is that he shows up and they announce Henry Cavill's coming back, and then all of a sudden James Gunn takes over. Henry Cavill's not coming back. In fact, they never had a deal. Then why did they announce he was coming back? Why did Henry Cavill say, yeah, I'm coming back, if there was no deal set in place? They don't announce that unless there was a deal. So I feel like there's some bullshit going somewhere. They're like, he signed a deal. And then James Gunn came in and like, no, I'm not going to need him. And so to kind of maybe cushion the blow of this. They're like, oh, he never really had a deal anyway. He wasn't supposed to say anything. He never really had a deal, so it wasn't really, he wasn't really coming back to begin with, sort of things. Like, oh, so don't be too heartbroken because he was never really coming back. He never really signed anything. I think there was something concrete signed, and James Gunn kind of voided that contract. I don't know, but I will tell you this: Black Adam. I'll say it. It's pretty good. The only thing I really didn't like was the climax fight with the CGI bullshit. You could do more with that, but that's what superheroes are becoming. And with these next 3 reviews, I think I'm going to prove to you that superhero movies aren't bad. They just get negative reviews because I think there's superhero fatigue. Because I've liked this, Thor Love and Thunder, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Like, Wakanda Forever got good reviews, but these 2 got bashed. And I feel like it's not right. I feel like superhero fatigue has something to do with it. People are just, oh, it's another superhero movie, so they go in with a negative, with negative thoughts from the beginning, and so they watch this movie that is decent, and because it's not mind-blowingly good, they just say it's shit, which it's not. People, I've heard complaints, oh, it's the same stuff we've seen over and over again. Yeah, you're gonna get that. Oh, it's boring. No, not at all. But I think it's a decent film. That's why I say it's pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Black Adam? Then we'll comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.